Now that you've taken all the photos for your deconstructed portrait and uploaded them to your computer, we're going to set up the document that we'll be editing on in Photoshop. So the first thing that you want to do is open up Photoshop and click Create New to start a new document. Over on the right side of this window, you can give your document a title. We're going to change the unit of measurement from pixels to inches. Pixels will be way too small, so you have to make sure it's in inches. And then your height and width are both going to be 10 inches. Where it says resolution, we're going to change this to 150 pixels per inch. So you should have 10, 10, 150, and then click Create. Now we have a square document, and we need to add guides to our document so that we know where all the pictures will have to sit. So a guide in Photoshop works like a ruler does on a piece of paper in real life. You would hold a ruler against a place that you want to draw a line. It gives you a little bit of guidance, but it doesn't actually leave a line on your paper unless you choose to draw a line next to the ruler. So we can add guides to our document. It's going to look like there's lines on it, but it's not making any permanent changes. It's just going to show you how to align elements in your canvas. So we need to make our rulers visible on the top and on the side margins here. So to do this, we're going to press Command R. That brings your rulers up. And to manually drag guides, you can hover your cursor within the ruler space, click and drag, and you'll see this line is coming out of the ruler. And when you let go, it's going to leave a cyan colored line. So that's that light blue tone. So that's how we manually grab guides. To do horizontal guides, you can drag them from the top ruler like this and line them up with whatever increment you need them to line up at. For this exercise, I'm going to show you how to do it automatically. So we are going up to View in your menu. You're going to scroll down to New Guide Layout. And as you can see, it's trying to create a layout already on my document. So we want 3 columns. We're going to change this number to 3. We're going to change the rows number to 3. And then we want to leave a little bit of space around the outside of the document, as well as a gutter between each square. A gutter is just that empty space. So we are going to change the gutter measurements to 1/4 inch. That's 0.25 inches. We're going to do the same on the rows. And then we're going to do the same for all of your margins. That's the space around the outside of your document. So by doing this, we're going to press OK. Photoshop creates all the spaces for you, and we will be able to neatly drop our pictures within all these squares that are left. Your template is now set up, so the next thing we have to do is bring our pictures in so that we can crop them to fit in these nice, neat squares created by the guides that you just set. So we are going up to File, Open, and you are going to access your photos from wherever you have them saved on your computer. I have mine in their own folder that I called Portrait, and I'm going to open up the first picture in this folder. Remember that when you open up a new photo, your previous document will still be here on a different tab, but you will have to jump back and forth until you have this cropped and dropped onto your template. So, looking at this image, we have a little bit too much information around her eye, and we want to crop this so that there's only her eye and a little bit of her eyebrow so that it's nice and cropped close and zoomed in. So, to crop images, over in your toolbar, the 5th tool down is your crop tool. Remember, if you hover over any of your tools, it will tell you what their name is. We're going to click on the crop tool. By default, up here in your options bar, the ratio setting may be here. You are going to click this drop-down menu so that it says width, by height, by resolution. We are going to set 3 different values so that this crops to the exact size that we need. So click on W, by height, by resolution. And here you're going to see 3 empty boxes in a row. We need to set this to be 3 inches by 3 inches, and we want the resolution to be the same as the template that we just made, which is 150 pixels per inch. So I'm going to type those values in, and when you're typing them, you also need the unit of measurement. By default, it will use pixels if you don't specify what you need, but we need inches. So we're going to type this as 3 in for inches, 3 in, and then 150, and it already has pixels per inch set for you. So you can see that these crop guides will stay in this fixed ratio that we just typed in. As I drag it, you'll notice that it's staying square, and the resolution is set correctly. So when it crops, it will match the template that you made. So I'm going to crop this so that the eye is just about centered. A little bit of the eyebrow is going to get cropped off. That is totally fine. When you're happy with how your crop preview looks, go up to the options bar and hit the check. And you'll see immediately it looks much smaller. So you can usually see right when it crops, it will shrink down. And then what we're going to do is drag this over to our other document. So I'm using my move tool. I'm going to click my cursor and I'm going to drag. Don't let go of your cursor. Hover over the other tab. Don't let go of your cursor. Hover over your canvas, and then you can let go of your cursor and it should drop right in. And because you have these guides set, see how that just turned magenta at the top and bottom? That means that the image is snapping to the guides, which keeps everything aligned really nicely. And then you have it right where it needs to be. So you are going to crop the rest of your images with those same dimensions, 3 inches by 3 inches at 150 pixels per inch. And I will check back in with you when I have that step done. Looking at my canvas, you can see that now I've cropped all 9 of my photos and they all sit nicely into the guides that we previously made. They should all fit into those squares. So what we need to do before we add any of our adjustments is we just need to make sure that all of the pictures look visually appealing in the position that they're at in your grid. So for example, I noticed that I have 2 pictures of hands side by side, and the picture of the nose and mouth here look very similar side by side because we have a lot of the freckles in each image. So you can slide your pictures around. You just click on them with your move tool. You can just slide them into a different space. And even pay attention to your backgrounds. This background doesn't have a lot of content in it. It's a lot of negative space, whereas this one is filled a lot more. So you can also pay attention to the way that the parts of your images are distributed. Once you have your images in a space that you're happy with, we can hide our guides from view. It's not deleting them, it just hides them. You can do this by pressing Command:, and now we see these nice, neat margins around each image. It looks very clean, very organized. And that is why we set up the guides in the first place. It just keeps everything in line perfectly. The last thing that we need to do before we add our adjustment is we are going to composite all of these images onto one layer. And the reason that we're going to do that is because sometimes the actions command doesn't understand what layer it needs to be applying your edits to. So we are going to push them all onto one layer. We're not going to flatten it. This will create a new layer where everything's together, and we'll apply the action to that layer. Remember, we never want to adjust this to the point where we can't go back to the beginning. So that's why we're creating a new layer that's flattened. So to do this, you're going to press 4 keys on your keyboard at the same time. You're pressing Command, Option, Shift, and the letter E. And you'll notice that when you do this, it pushes all of your pictures onto the same layer. It'll pop up at the top of your layers panel. And if you scroll down, you can see all of the original images. You could go back and edit them as needed. This is just in addition to what you've already created. Now, to use our action, we're going to go up to Window and make sure that actions are visible in our window. This doesn't have the little check mark next to it, so they're not visible. We're going to click on it so that it pops up. And then in your actions window, you are going to scroll until you find your high contrast black and white edit that you've already made as an action. So we're going to click on this, and then you're going to press the play button to apply it. Sometimes you'll get the dialog boxes that pop up. Just keep pressing OK. And now we have a really nice high contrast black and white edit. All of our pictures look nice and crisp. We have a wide range of highlights and shadows, and that's exactly what we wanted. So this is ready to save. You can save it as a PDF or as a JPEG and submit to Canvas.